All right, and welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, September 28th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So markets here, staging a little bit of a rally. So spiders here are up about 0.5%, and the Qs are up just a little bit more. They're about 65 basis points. So a little bit of follow through from yesterday's little reversal candle. Had a nice squeeze there going into the close. We came back off the highs. Powell is speaking after the bell. I think right now I'm doing this video a little earlier than normal. Doing a live stream after the bell for members. So we'll be doing that while Powell's talking. But right now it looks to me like we're just pinned to 4,300. So that 0DTE, option, that's kind of where they want it to sit. That's what it looks like to me. So I don't expect us to move. I don't think either side is really going to blink before Powell right now. But bottom line is we continued up a little bit. Now, I don't think, as I said yesterday, I don't think a bottom is in. Plethora of reasons. Markets don't bottom on a gap down, a gap up. They got to be on a gap down. And I still think we have another leg down in this kind of bear control phase. Now we could still get up to, tomorrow. This is probably going to be the target. In fact, if you take a look on the intraday, we use a 10-minute. You can see there's an inverse head and shoulder here. Right there. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder. You even see it a little bit, possibly a little bit better. Yeah, a little bit better on the 15-minute, but either way. And you're kind of back testing that neckline right now. If that breaks, that would be certainly problematic. But right now, and this is what I love about charts, is you just line that up. Where is it going to go? Oh, anybody's guess, right? Nope. Right to that breakdown, right? So that's your back test level. So that tells me the market probably wants to do that tomorrow. I also talked about this, yesterday. I said if we bounce, this is going to be a level that you're going to want to watch. Now, Powell's talking after the bell. Maybe he shoots down the market. He certainly did essentially the last time he was on, but maybe he tries to walk it back a little bit, right? So these central bankers, when they do stuff, if they feel like they've overdone something, they'll walk it back verbally and kind of go from there. Does he really walk it back a lot, or does he walk it back a little? It remains to be seen. I don't know what he's going to say, but you could get some type of pop. We also have PCE tomorrow morning, so that's likely to be market moving. But obviously, this would be your first target here on a bounce. Additionally, kind of going back to what I was saying before, the reason why I don't think there's a low in, if you've kind of studied bear markets or really and how they end rather, we go to an intraday here. If this was an end, we would be up here by now. It would not have taken much time. This morning, it was kind of like just a chop fest. Really, the market struggled to get above this pivot, let alone the high from yesterday. We finally did, and then we kind of faded back off. Usually when there's a bottom in place, it is, the bears are scared. I don't really get that sense right now. And I would think we would already be at that neckline, right? And then tomorrow you can invalidate, if we look at the spiders talking about this head and shoulder neckline, I would think we would already be there now. And then tomorrow you could invalidate it. Like usually it's a V shape and it is furious. Right now it's just kind of like, okay, we're getting a bounce, but not much follow through. In fact, we're already, like I said, we faded off the highs, and it looks like that 4,300 gamma has kind of taken over. Additionally, there's still, some sectors and some stocks here, important stocks that are weak, like Apple. Again, it is green on the day, but not the greatest look, right? This is just, it's up 12 cents. Nothing great there. Microsoft holding the 310 handle, but I mean, you could make a case that's starting to put in an immature bear flag there. Again, just things to look at. But we'll see what we get tomorrow. If we do push up, again, we'll look at this area 4340. That's a monthly close too, from last month. So that is going to be important. We'll see if they try to save that there. But that is what I'm kind of looking at here in the short term. Then obviously if we get through that, we could try to shoot the gap around 4,400 and test that 20 period moving average. But right now, market's just kind of stuck here, and I don't think either side really blinks. On the flip side, if we do head lower, and it's possible that we don't really bounce that much, there's a lot of people calling for a bounce. There's a lot of people look, even the bears that I see on my feed are looking for a bounce to short. And I think there's a lot of them. Maybe we don't get it. But if we do start to fail, first step is obviously taking out this kind of, let's go back to the spiders here. First step will be kind of taking out that neckline that I drew in earlier. So right there. And, if you really start to take these pivots out here, 424, 425 area, 424.86, then the door is kind of open here for a lot more downside. But, right now, short term, the market's holding up. It's stabilizing. Maybe Powell says something to further stabilize it, but we'll look for a bounce here, a further bounce. But again, don't rule out the possibility, right? Markets don't crash from overbought. They crash from oversold. And a lot of people are looking for a bounce, right? Including me. So just be aware of that. But spiders here, up 0.5%. We'll leave it at that. Triple Q's there. Again, same kind of idea, right? You got that 100 MA, the purple trend line. That should be resistance on the upside. And then the 20 moving average and the gap fill as well. Those are levels of interest. Russell 2000, that's continuing to bounce. Finally getting a little bit of follow through here, up 1%. 180, 20 moving average. We'll even say, we can go right here, and you can say there's the inverse or the head and shoulder neckline on the Russell, but even before that, right around 182, right there. That's kind of your breakdown area. 20 moving average is right there. 200 moving average, you could get a back test of that. That would be your short-term target. But this head and shoulder is still in play, down to 165 until proven otherwise. Dow here. Again, more of a dead cat bounce. Yesterday did not do much here. Again, the Dow's price cap weighted. We won't make too much out of it. You take out yesterday's low, then things get interesting. But, on the upside, we'll look at 343 for now. SMH here, look at where it went. So right into our trend line. High of the day right there. And it pulled back. So I'm watching this one tomorrow. Does it reclaim that trend line? If we do fade, do we close back below this pivot too? So we already closed below that on a weekly, which is a pretty good sign of weakness here. They're trying to reclaim it there for the monthly close. But again, that's what I'm watching tomorrow. If we do push up a little bit more, you have the necktie there with the 120 moving average right around 148. So that should be resistance. And then if you get through that, 150 was kind of your breakdown area before that. So that would be your next level to get through on the semis. Micron reported earnings yesterday. Pretty good fade job there, although it did come off the lows. AMD got a nice bid today. That was up 4.5%, so that really helped out the sector there. Again, going into that 200 moving average, you expect a bounce there. IGV, again, holding this trend line. We finally tested it. I was complaining that we never got down there before. We finally got there, and it's getting a bid. Not the greatest bid, though. You really got to get outside of this, 342 area, get above today's high pivot to really solidify something. Otherwise, it could just, sideways and set up a move down. But it's holding up for now. And again, we'll look at the gap fill in 350 for short-term resistance on the upside. Dow Transport's getting a bid here. Again, same kind of look as AMD. Right down into the 200 without much of a pullback. It's getting a bounce. Still looking at 15,250 on this one. Maybe 15,350. And then if you get through that, it's 15.5 to 15.6. But Dow Transport's up 1.25 as well. Okay, let's get over to interest rates here because this is a big one today. So there we go. So the 2-year we'll start out with, as always, that's coming back in a little bit here. This pattern is still good. As long as we're above this 5.05 level on a daily close, which we are right now, that pattern is still bullish. Doesn't mean that, if it fails, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. Trend is still up. But it did come back in. Now it gets interesting here. The fives, same kind of deal. What's interesting to me is on the long end. So 10-year, talked about, I think I said 4.65. I told you guys we got to 4.688. We came in. This one is interesting. I told you guys 4.75. That is a topping tail on the 30-year. If we look at a monthly, you can see where it went. That pivot, and it's pulling back. Also, if we close below that on a monthly, it's going to be, which is tomorrow, if we follow through to the downside, that would be a pretty good reject. That's not to say the trend isn't up or anything, but I think yields look a little toppy here. Why do you think the market's rallying? Because yields are coming in, obviously. But this is the kicker here. So if you're a bear, what's the next shoe to drop? Are they rallying because everything's on the up and up now? Or are they rallying because there's something out there that is about to break because of the interest rates being hiked so much in such a short period of time? And are the lag effects starting to take place? What could be evidence of that? Yield curves are starting to uninvert, right? They're starting to actually uninvert here. So something to keep an eye on. Again, there's a 210 and 3-month and 10-year. They've been trending up here. So that's something to watch. But yields do look a little top heavy, and right now the market likes that. XHB up 1.5. That pattern is still not very good. It does look like we're going to get above, so 77.22. We're just above that right now. I don't know if we close above it. We got 50 minutes left, but still not the greatest pattern, right? Kind of a bearish inside bar below this head and shoulder neckline, below the moving averages. I don't like it. So you really need to get above this neckline here on a close to negate that. It doesn't mean it can't go lower, but just means that pattern would be invalidated. And again, it could make a case you're holding this trend line one more time. But XHB hanging in there okay. Again, also what I don't like is you close below these big wide range green bars on a weekly close last week. So next rally could get faded. Just be aware of that. VNQ. So we talked about double bottom. Didn't quite pierce it. You know, we got down to 74.85. Low was... Did we actually pierce that? 74... Okay, no, sorry. 74.66 was the low. And the low today is 74.85. But it's getting a bounce. Not a great bounce, though, right? It's not an engulfing candle. It's not a bottoming tail. I would really prefer it if we pierced this. And again, this is one of those things, like if you're looking at bonds and they're coming back in, is that a risk off signal? And is commercial real estate a problem? This is a breakdown, right? So, I mean, there's just no other way to say it. That's a pretty good breakdown. It's holding the double bottom for now, but you've put in a bearish inside bar now on the monthly for a year, and it's starting to break. So that could be something telling us something. XLF here getting a pop. Did break that trend line yesterday. It's trying to get back above it, but that's where it's stalling out. Again, there's your little breakdown pivot there as well. But it's hanging in there for the day. Like everything else, KRE getting a little bounce too. That's kind of got to hold this area here. But, it's holding it for now. So we'll respect it. Same thing with KBE. And then broker dealers here getting a bounce off of 480 and that 100 MA. If it continues higher, we'll say 495 here. We'll say 495 for now. Maybe 500. Usually pretty good with levels on that one, but getting a bounce there. Okay, over to crude. Do you notice something here? And we'll look at the dollar in a minute, but what else pulled back today that I just showed you and spent some time on? 30-year, right? What I've been saying for probably 2 months now. If you break above 73.83 or 83.53, whatever the number is, on a weekly close, it's going to go up to 93 to 95. We went up to 95 today, touched it. 95.03 was the high. I have a sell signal on crude, just so you know. Full disclosure, I did buy some SCO today, just so you know. But that does look pretty top heavy along with yields, and that's confirming what I'm seeing on yields. Weekly pivot right there. Also tomorrow, if we're down again or even just flat, that means you're not going to close the month above these pivots. Keep that on watch as well. But crude coming in, I ultimately think crude's going to go a lot higher. But right now, I think that the scales are really tipped on one side. So I favor this. I favor crude to come in here. First stop, you got some daily chart support. Well, obviously the 20 moving average, but pretty powerful reversal candle. So that can break. But if you get below this pivot here, I mean, there's not a lot down to about 83, 84. So that's kind of where I'm looking for crude to go. We could also take a fib here and check this as well. Again, you got your 382 right in that area, right around 82, right? So good area of support there for CL futures. But yeah, looks top heavy. XLE, that's actually holding up. Again, I don't see any reason why this can't get to double top. Another thing too to keep in mind is tomorrow is end of quarter, and this has been a big winner this quarter. Fund managers are going to want to pile into this. They're going to want to show it on their, balance sheet. Like, oh, we owned ExxonMobil. even though their clients don't know that they literally just FOMO'd into it at the end of quarter. They can still say that we owned ExxonMobil. So look at XLE, XOP, and OIH to possibly get a continued bid into tomorrow. I would not chase them up here, but for me, XLE, I don't see any problems. This can still get to double top. XOP, oil and gas exploration, that is not a terrible pullback pattern, and it's holding up okay. Yeah, honestly, I mean, that could still get to 160 here in the near term. And OIH, that's still holding up well. I don't even have a level for that right now. It already kind of hit that moving average that I've been looking at for months. You know, the next really big level is probably 400. We'll just say even number of 400. I don't think it can get there right now, but I don't see any problems. I don't have a sell signal on it, and it's trying to consolidate, so it can still go higher. CCJ, again, this can still go higher. I think it's incredibly top heavy. I wouldn't chase it though. And the same thing with URNM. Just we're in a mania phase now, so at least in the medium term. But URNM, we can look at the weekly as well, or there's the monthly. You know, you're above this pivot, and you know you're kind of coming into. I would say $50 is going to be resistance. Look at this, really extended. Don't chase it, please. Nat gas creeping in on $3. Again, contract gap there, obviously, but it's holding up for now. I don't know what it wants to do here. What I will say is if you get a weekly close above 3, we'll just say 303, I think it's over. So that pattern looks really good on the weekly. Just got to hold this this area here. Usually these contract gaps fill, and there's nothing to say that it doesn't. But it also seems like too much of a slam dunk to short it into that gap. So that could be something that maybe gets faked out. But either way, yeah, 303, you get that above on a weekly close. I think nat gas goes a lot higher. Okay, what else here? Let's see, 3 ducks in a row. You guys know I'm going to go to the dollar index next. 30-year, right? Crude. What else? Dollar, right? So 107 essentially got hit, 106.84. And we pull back on the dollar. Again, those 3 things are positively correlated, right? Kind of went into a weekly level here on the DXY, and a nice pullback. Again, like what did I say yesterday? 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 weeks up. It's a little overbought here. Now you might ask, well, why not short the dollar if you short crude? I got to go with the monthly here. So here's the thing. This trend is really strong on the monthly, whereas with crude, and I'm going to get rid of this fib extension, but whereas with crude, see how these moving averages are flat? Hasn't really fully, they're kind of turning up, but it's not as strong on the monthly. Whereas the dollar index, also if we do go into another move down and bonds go risk off, typically conventional wisdom says dollar index up, yields up. If it's truly risk off, the dollar can rally as well with bond yields. So don't think that correlation is concrete. But to me, trend right now, I don't want to short the dollar. I'd rather do it with crude or some other vehicle. So anyways, yeah, let's get over to gold here before I forget what I'm doing. Another dump here on gold, and that's with that is with the dollar weak. I don't know if this is telling us something. I mean, gold just acting weird, right? I talked to you guys about HYG. That's getting a bid today, but that's still kind of a breakdown. JNK and VNQ, if you follow the videos, you know I've been talking about these warning signs. But gold, I don't know what it's trying to tell us here. So watch that. Lost at 1900 handle. You got to reclaim that by the end of the week. Otherwise, you got a pretty good weekly. By the way, if you close the week below this, 1875, that's going to be a big sign of weakness. And then really the big one is 1813 on a monthly. But gold, I don't know, maybe it's telling us something. Something's going on. Silver here, that's holding up. It's just gold breaking down. But I still think silver has one more dip. Platinum up 2.3%. That's trying to hang on. That still has another dip. Who cares about palladium? I think copper up 2%, reclaiming this trend line by the end of the week. So it needed to do that. I think I said that yesterday. If it can follow through, I guess we'll look at 380 as the next level. But if it breaks down, it's going to 340. Okay, Bitcoin here, hanging on to 27,000, back above the 50 MA. So, a little golf clap there. I still don't like the weekly, and you guys know exactly what I'm going to say, so I'm not going to bother to reiterate it. That's a bearish inside bar. Okay, so let's look at the spiders here. Looks like a Russell getting a little pop. So are we? Yeah, we're pushing up a little bit. So interesting to see if we close at the high of the day. But Powell is speaking after the close. Let me just see. Yeah, so we're just hanging in there. Again, market's getting a bounce. Remember that inverted head and shoulders on the 15-minute. It's only a 15-minute time frame, so it's not super dominant, but it certainly looks like it could play out. Especially, I like it when it lines up with a resistance level, and markets love to test levels that they've been to before. So I'd say leaning towards that does play out here. And we'll just watch that from there, and we'll watch that monthly close. This pivot here, we'll see if the bears show up. If they don't, then we got to hold this area here, the gap window, and obviously the gap fill. But again, we'll get there when we get there. We've got Powell after the bell, and we've got PCE as well. So there's plenty of data points to get through. So anyways, guys, going to wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Talk to you guys all tomorrow.